Regional Desk. I'm meteorologist Scott Mundt, and this is Weather or Not. Coming up on today's episode, we have a lot to talk about. I'm only showing three bullet points here: snow, cold, pattern. You could probably lump them all together as they're all related somehow. As we get into this weekend, we'll watch for some colder air to return, some of the coldest air of the season on the way for this weekend. Along with it, we do have that chance to see snow across eastern KELOLAND, and some of it may even stretch in the central, maybe even northern and northwestern South Dakota. It all depends on the track of this, as of course that can change, being still a couple of days out. And we'll see if there's anything else in the works as we do get beyond this weekend. I do think that cold air will probably last into early next week, and then we'll slowly watch these temperatures return above average. We'll talk more about that later. Here's Futurecast today. See that cold front? That will move west to east across the area. That warm front that's extended through Minnesota and into Wisconsin, that will continue to move through KELOLAND through the morning hours and into the afternoon. So we are going with a warm day today, with temperatures in the 60s and 70s. Will be well above average. As we look at Futurecast for tomorrow, it's a dry day, even though temperatures will be a little cooler, and we may have some thicker clouds from time to time tomorrow. Still looks like we'll have dry skies. I mentioned cooler temperatures, but still above average. And then as we do get into Thursday, that trend continues, maybe even a little bit warmer on Thursday. You see some cloud cover trying to move through, but we are looking at dry skies. So that cold air is coming. Let's go ahead and take a look at our temperature trend here. Now, this is midday. This is noon on Saturday, showing you temperatures in the low to middle 40s, western, central, southeastern KELOLAND, even close to 50 in Yankton, coming in at 49. Now, keep in mind, that's at noon. Let's go ahead and advance to 3 o'clock. And notice how that temperature fell to 46 in Yankton. Temperatures in the low to middle 30s in eastern and northeastern South Dakota. So we'll probably have a strong north to northwest wind helping to bring in this cold air. Temperatures falling during the day on Saturday. And as we continue through time here, you can see as we get into Sunday, this particular model, which is the European model, showing temperatures maybe only in the 20s in Watertown, 28 degrees Sunday afternoon. 30s for just about everybody else. We do have a couple of 40s coming back in western and northwestern South Dakota, and trying to get to 40 for Winter and Yankton, with both of those areas at around 40 degrees for Sunday afternoon. So enjoy the warm weather while it's here, such as today. We'll have temperatures in the 60s in central and eastern KELOLAND, 70s western, south central South Dakota, high of 75 today in Rapid City, 76 in Valentine. As we get into tonight, temperatures will eventually fall to the 30s. This will happen with mostly clear to partly cloudy skies. And coming up, we are looking at our snow chances. Stay with us. You're watching Weather or Not. Welcome back to Weather or Not. I'm joined by meteorologist Brian Karstens now. And Brian, that first topic up for discussion, snow. And I mentioned at the beginning, at the introduction, I have snow, cold, pattern. You could probably throw all that together in the one thing, and we just talk for the full half hour. But we'll break it up.
It's a good subject to bring up, because absolutely we've got a real polar front moving in. I've used that word intentionally because it is a polar front. And that means that the temperature this weekend obviously is going to drop. Now we get to wrangle with some of these parameters on how to handle the storm track, how to handle the timing, what's that going to mean for some snow chances in our viewing area. So I bet there are maybe a couple people out there interested in that.
The confidence is high that we will have much colder air this weekend.
Yeah, the cold air part of it is very, very likely. The one thing about it, though, I feel like after the morning show, we were talking on air about this, but we actually reduced the high and the low temperature forecasts during the show, just given the amount of data that was accumulating on us.
But was it enough?
And that's the question I brought up at the end of the show. I said, I'm like, well, look at this. We've got brand new data, even on the AI, both actually the operational models and on the AI side. And frankly, it meets also with our historical, just based on how many years we've worked here. We've seen many times where these fronts will come through and they will gather some strength. Now, at this point, I still like this approach just to kind of evaluate it, cut the temperatures a little by little. Mm-hmm. We're down to 35 for a high on Sunday.
Okay. And we also trim those overnight lows, Sunday morning and Monday morning. Some of the models are thinking temperatures in the single digits by Monday morning.
You know what I think of when I think of that? I'm like, well, okay, we can do that, but we're going to probably have to get some snow, in my opinion, to get to that level.
So maybe it is tugging it down because it is thinking that there will be snow.
A little bit. And it doesn't take a lot. I mean, you can get an inch of snow, and it can, if it sticks to the ground, I mean, it's got to be able to fall sometime on Saturday, maybe later in the day, and then let's just kind of let this sift through. Not going to, pull any.
Tuesday? We're talking about this on Saturday.
Yeah, we got a little time yet. Not here yet, Scott, but it is interesting. And, I'm glad you brought this map up because I did want to acknowledge North Dakota snow chances are really good this weekend. In fact, the northern, I see up toward Minot, that coloring, that's better than probably 60 or 70% chances.
Yeah, I think it goes 30, 50, 70 with the color coding.
Yeah.
I guess I could have had to pick one out that I didn't have labeled.
No, my eye caught that on the top side.
That's okay.
You got Jamestown there 50-50.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it does sneak into northeastern South Dakota. Aberdeen, 14%, 20% Watertown. Even Sioux Falls is starting to get in on the action at 2%. Well, Brian, what I did yesterday is I took a snapshot of the numbers it had yesterday. And I said, I have to do this and follow the trend. And I went ahead and put this graphic together because we'll try to follow this as we do go through the week. You can see how that percentage went up in Aberdeen from 9% yesterday to 14% today, and went up a little in Watertown, went down in Marshall, but Sioux Falls is now showing up at 2% chance to see at least an inch of snowfall. And this is a graphic that suggests maybe seeing at least 3 inches of snow. And look at that. Look how much it's taken back when you go from 1 to 3. So right now, this is not a blockbuster at all, but it can be one of the first measurable snows of the season and come with a lot of cold air. That is something that we've been mentioning. I already talked about how we trimmed back on those high temperatures for this weekend, not only for the highs, but also for the lows, Brian. So, this is the first real chance, I would say, we have at getting some of us our first measurable snow.
Yeah, it's definitely looking more and more like that. One of the graphics I showed during the morning show, too, just to kind of illustrate the path of this system, you look to the northwest, and obviously anytime you deal with an Alberta clipper or something that's in the clipper family, these systems, the way that they work is they feed off of the temperature difference from the Arctic or polar air. So in this case, we'll just kind of reserve the word and say polar. But they're feeding off of that, and those lows will come right down from the northwest, right where that biggest difference in temperature is located. So the low track and the timing, those are big challenges when we deal with clippers. Clippers are not known as they're not blockbuster storms as far as snowfall totals.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say they're not known to behave.
Well,
which you could probably throw that in there too.
That goes back to the timing, because timing is a big deal. Is it going to be Saturday morning? Is it going to be Saturday afternoon?
And that plays with our temperatures.
Oh, absolutely. Saturday, kind of a toss up there. That high temperature on Saturday is what we're building into the forecast, is that low, and I don't even agree totally with how that's depicted there going north of Sioux Falls. I think that low track could actually be farther south, and that has a pretty big implication on the weather because it'll drag that snow band farther south if that happens. But just for conversation's sakes right now, we're talking northwest winds behind the low. It's going to get colder, And again, that's a setup. That's Saturday morning already. So we're already falling. So we have to assume we're going to hit our high pretty early in the day.
I see some purple on there. Now, not the purple color that you had there with your crayon. I'm talking about the purple that's showing up in eastern northeastern South Dakota throughout west central Minnesota.
Yeah, those are temperatures aloft a little bit, not real high, but they're into the what we call the 850 millibar level. So that's a meteorological jargon here, but we're talking about some of the depths of the cold, and the temperatures are registering way below freezing in that cloud layer. I'm talking like 12 degrees, minus 12 Celsius, so we won't get into all of that, but it's cold enough to snow. It should be. And there's some wind with it. And do you see how the model actually produces a little more snow right there? See that, Scott?
That's Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's also a little artifact from that second push that's coming in.
Push of the cold.
Yep. So it's all there. I mean, it's all speaking to us as, yep, a little bit of snow. It's a lot of cold, a cold punch for at least a couple of days. Let's see how Monday behaves too. Could be a kind of a lingering effect. It's not like this is just going to all erase here. And then, then we get to talk about another warm-up. And that's always fun to visit about too, that, yes, we're going to get another good recharge. Look at that ridge.
Ooh.
Wow.
Time to warm up again.
Well,
so it's
now
you said this before. It's not throwing us into winter.
Did you see on the AI version of the Euro this morning? I know that there was one.
I could even try to bring it up.
There was a data set in there where it had eastern Nebraska, I think, back in the upper 70s.
Okay.
So, but
we have
also
to get probably beyond midweek. Now there's probably at the same time, I'm sure there's a trough digging in the west.
There is. Yeah. There is. There's more. What do I want to say? There's more of a conversation about that too, because I've seen this now popping up on this now quite a few times where we're trying to get another surge and then we bring another system out. So some things are beginning to wake up just enough, Scott, that, we're dusting off some of these snow products. We said that yesterday, getting that one that you just showed, the percentages of the chance of snow.
I forgot about that one yesterday, but I think after the show, I'm like, oh, yeah, we should bring this probability map back.
Probably should show the wind chill, too. I do have that one.
Hold on a second. Point. We have to take a break.
Oh, that's
okay.
Right. Yeah, we got
I said, we could probably go the whole half hour lumping all this together, and we will cross. We'll try to talk more about that cold coming up after the break. You're watching Whether or Not. Well, Brian, we've been talking about the cold. That conversation will continue. I've been looking at a couple of interesting things as we were talking about this. I was looking things up on one of the monitors here that I'll bring up in just a bit. But I want to go back to this conversation that we've had. Following the strong cold fronts since the beginning of September, and you've probably seen this graphic too if you watch this show, we had a strong cold front at the beginning of September and October where those high temperatures went from above average, getting those lows to, for some of us, into record territory as we watched some of the cold air try to come in. That was earlier in the summer, and we had some of those lows in record territory. And I think a lot of that was connected to those closed lows. But for this purpose here, with the strong fronts moving through at the beginning of the month, looking at those high temperatures compared to the low temperatures just a couple of days later. Now, what's going on this time around, it's delayed by maybe a couple of days. Forecast high for today's at 65. And then give it, instead of 3 days, give it 5 days. And our high temperature goes to 35. The overnight low, 19. And those numbers may still be too warm as we get the colder air coming in for this weekend. So could we have another strong front that can move through by the time we do get into that first week of December? We certainly can. The graphic wanted to jump there, but let's go ahead and bring this one up. We certainly can, and that's a situation that we'll follow as we get into that first week of December. That could bring in another strong front. But looking at some of these temperatures, let's go ahead and bring up Sioux Falls. Now, this is Sioux Falls, the climate stats for Sioux Falls, beginning of November. Look at those record low minimum temperatures. And we've had some of the models suggesting that we can get, 3 degrees, 5, 7 degrees above zero? How far off is that from setting records? Here's a 5 on the 9th of all days.
Wow.
Am I reading this right?
Yeah. And it's interesting to see that. And one thing about it too, Scott, I noticed as you start the conversation about today's high, mid 60s, but even the forecast going into Thursday and Friday is still pretty mild in central South Dakota. A lot of mid 60s will come up. So there will be another warm up ahead of this front. Now, temperatures, wind chills, we're going to continue to evaluate how far down the scale we're going to go. The map that you just showed here, that's that wind chill graphic from the European model. Now, we kind of chose to use that, for a variety of reasons. I think it's probably it's got a good track record. There are some models that are much colder, and you mentioned the fact that, when you're talking about temperatures at night in the single digits, that's...
right now, I should clarify, too, not forecasting record lows.
No.
Okay? No. But we are falling to the single digits. You mentioned before, a lot of that's probably happening if we can get, at least some snow on the ground. And then I started thinking, what are our records? How cold do we have to get? We're not used to the average temperatures for, lows, let alone the highs.
Yeah. And it fits the pattern from September, the one in October. I mean, not as dramatic, we're not going to be as warm, at least right now we're not forecasting that. But still, we can see a pretty big drop. And I find it interesting that as the days go on, how this story gets a little bigger and a little bigger.
A little bit, and the temperatures get colder. Story gets bigger, temperatures get colder. Throw in the cold, throw in the snow.
Yeah, and as we reference back to that, I want to go to that wind chill map. This is the graphic that we showed during the morning show. So if you missed that earlier in the day, again, this is a projection for Saturday afternoon at 12 o'clock. So there's a variance here. 50s, Northwest Iowa, you still have the slowdown or the timing of the front there, so a little delay. But look at Mobridge. Feels like temperature 20 degrees. And, yeah, we get into the afternoon, and the numbers are falling by the hour. Now, there's some wind. It's the worst of the wind is probably western South Dakota into central Nebraska. But take a look at this. We got wind chill values at 10 degrees in Mobridge.
Sunday morning.
Yeah. And this is one of the more optimistic pieces of data. There's plenty of other things we could show you. I did notice, Scott, that the GFS, the American model, on Sunday morning, 2 runs in a row, has got us down to about 0. And that feels like. So
okay.
15 is going to feel cold. 0 would be worse, but it all deserves a winter coat. You have to find the heavy coats now, not the light jackets, because if we stay with wind chills, could we stay in the upper teens and low 20s all day? And
with our wind chills?
Could the temperature forecast, we're going 35, but we may have to drop that a little more yet, so we could hold below freezing.
That's been the trend going into the weekend with this cold air, dropping these temperatures. We did that this morning in KELOLAND this morning. I was looking at it going, we may have to drop these. And I had my notes. I don't have my notebook with me, but I looked at the meteorograms of the 8 different forecast models I like to look at, and all 8 of them were cooler than our forecast highs on Saturday and Sunday. I go, Brian, we have to change this.
Yep. And that's what we do. We make a decision based on where the trends are. And now the question is, we're going to have to put the 7-day forecast into another mode of cutting those temperatures again. I would say Monday is in some jeopardy. I would say any amount of snow on Saturday is also going to throw a fly in the ointment too for that, because then you're going to be talking about, let's say you get an inch of snow late in the day and it's getting colder and colder and then it doesn't melt. Well, yeah, that's going to set up some pretty cold numbers.
Especially in the morning.
Yep. So keep watching it. I think we got something here to work with. We're here. We're going to keep an eye on the pattern, and that's, your next discussion point.
That is our next topic. Stay with us. You're watching Weather or Not. Welcome back to Whether or Not. It's time to talk about our weather pattern, Brian, which more or less is a discussion about snow chances, I would say. Like I said, you could lump all this together in one, whether we talk about the cold, snow pattern, whatever order it is in. It really didn't matter. But we had to break it up into our segments.
Yep, and it's all interesting because it's giving us more to talk about. And it's not just this weekend. There's actually more in that long-range picture, maybe a few more discussion points to have.
So we'll watch a couple of systems try to run through maybe around the middle of the month. So we're looking at November 14th there. We have something trying to swing through from Canada. This particular model trying to bring a closed low through Texas. That may end up being a little too far to the south. But could there be a connection with that other low that's trying to set up into Canada? There could be. I mean, there are different models suggesting different scenarios, different outcomes. Let's go ahead and take a look at our European model as this bringing in the snow chances mainly for the first half of this weekend. That's about it. Oh, we should mention the hills of western South Dakota, too. They'll probably see some accumulating snows.
Yes, absolutely. Northern Black Hills, when you get a clipper, you're going to get some snow with that northwest wind, and that's that orographical feature that lifts up into the Black Hills.
How about this one, Brian? We got about a minute and a half left.
Yeah, this is the whoa. Yeah, what's going on here? All right, well, just because you're watching this program means that you're plugged into. We'll give you an opinion about this. The American model this morning did produce more significant snowfall in Sioux Falls. Now, what's going on here is that is the same idea. That's a clipper. Storm track to the left of the low. And, of course, it buys into the southern track, too, which, you got to get the track. You have to get the timing. It has to be cold enough for snow. Okay, so it's out there. It's in left field right now. But I'll be curious to keep watching to see how these models come together because eventually they'll land on something. So
and then
that's all I'm going to say on that.
Right. It's just one other model we look at. We don't put too much stock in it as compared to some of the other models
that is
like
correct.
To look at. We'll leave it on that note. Thank you for watching this latest edition of Whether or Not. Have yourself a great day.